Hey, ladies, welcome to Truth Be Told, a podcast about women for women, and that it dispels myths, voices our silent voices, and refuels the emptiness as we are not only heard, but we are impactful. I am your host, Michelle Lorraine. Thank you for joining me this evening on episode 3. We will be discussing 6 powerful tips that are essential for effective leadership. We want to understand those who lead, those who are led, and those that aspire to leadership. I have 3 dynamic women joining me tonight, and they are so excited to be here. We have different experiences from their different roles in the community or within the corporate world, and we are so excited. Now, I want to share with Facebook Live audience, please feel free to comment, share, and like. And if you have any questions, again, just put it in our feedback in the Facebook. So let me introduce our guest today. We have Sharon Gordon. She is the head human resources contact center at Canada TD Bank for over 6 years, and she's going to be representing the corporate sector. Then we have Elder Suzette Gayle. She is a co-pastor. She is a first lady of the Family Life Worship Center in Port St. Lucie, Florida, and she has been in this ministry for over 14 years, and she's an entrepreneur. She's going to be representing the church ministry. Then, last but not least, we have Lisa Price. She is a senior scientific evaluator, acting manager for the General and Restorative Devices Division for the ventilator submission. Hold on, let me catch my breath. Due to COVID-19, Health Canada in Ottawa, Ontario, and at Health Canada, she's been there for over 18 years. Lisa is also the board secretary for the Transforming Life Center, TLC, for the past 2 years. Hey, ladies.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. How you guys doing?
Good. We're good, I think.
Good,
Great to come
good.
back, though.
Good.
Yeah, we doing well, doing well.
Awesome. So, ladies, I would love the audience to get to know you a little bit. So, give an introduction about who you are, what you're doing, what's your responsibility, your role. So, let's start with Sharon.
Okay, so I am Sharon Gordon. I grew up in Ottawa and I came to Toronto for university. Then while I was in university, I was working part-time at the bank. And I have to say, the manager who initially hired me took a chance on me. And ever since then, I have gone from CIBC, now I'm at TD Bank, senior roles in TD Bank, but currently I'm managing the Canadian HR Contact Center. And I field calls and manage all the incoming calls for all 50,000 employees in Canada,
Wow.
whether they have issues, concerns, or about our HR programs. But mostly, I would say that I really manage my business strategically to understand where we need to go next with the business,
Right.
with the HR Contact Center. And yeah, a lot of money and numbers involved in that as well.
Wow. Thank you. And Pastor Gail, how about you?
Hello, Facebook family, and thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of this panel. I am Suzette Gayle. A little bit about me in a nutshell. I'm a mother of 2 wonderful children. I've been a wife for almost 21 years, and the Lord afforded us to start a ministry that we have pastored together for 14 years. Most importantly, I am a servant leader. I am called to serve the body of Christ and to serve people in general. And I'm in business for people, leading people, pointing people to Christ, to their destined place that God has assigned for them. In a nutshell, that's who I am.
Amen. And Lisa, tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, Facebook. Hi. So my name is Lisa Price, Lisa-Gaye Price. I currently reside in Ottawa, and I have been in the church from pretty much day one. I went to University of Ottawa, so I'm a graduate of University of Ottawa, and I studied chemistry and have a bachelor's in chemistry and a master's in chemical engineering.
Wow.
And currently work at Health Canada as a senior scientific evaluator. for the past 18 years. So it's been a long time in the government world. During that time, I've had various positions as well as managerial positions. So right now, I am the manager or lead for ventilators. So everybody knows COVID-19 has been very rampant in Canada and the world globally.
Right.
And everybody knows ventilators are very much a medical device that the world is looking for. So when you have it, when you have COVID-19, if you have difficult breathing, so you need ventilators. So I'm that lead person for Canada as far as getting ventilators into Canada and for technical evaluation of those ventilators. So it's been quite busy. So that's what I do on, I guess, my secular job. And for the church, as Michelle did say, I am part of the board at the Transforming Life Center. I am a member of the board, have been there for about 5 years, and now currently the secretary of a subset of the board. And it's been quite interesting and actually an honor to be part of that board.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure Michelle is going to have a lot of questions for us, but I'll be able to tell you a little bit more about my experience on a church board.
Excellent. Thank you guys so much for that. So today we're talking about leadership, and I want our audience to understand that leadership comes in so many different forms, whether it's in the church or in a voluntary position or corporation. So, in your opinion, how do you think that leadership varies between the corporate world and the church? Do you feel that there's a difference between the leadership in the corporate world versus the church? If yes, why? And if no, why not? And anyone can answer that.
So I'll start with me, Sharon. I am in the church as well. I would say, and I will say, there are very many similarities. To be a leader in the church, to be a leader in the corporate world, you have to, be there for the people, but you also have to lead and inspire them and keep them motivated.
Right.
In church, it's a different kind of motivation because you do have to have your own personal relationship with Christ, as well as there are different auxiliaries within the church, like the women's department, men's department, youth department. But you still, as the senior pastor, for example, have to be the head who understands what's going on in each of those auxiliaries and help to build bridges, help to support, and help to solution what might be happening from a spiritual perspective or from a temporal perspective. At work, it's pretty much the same. The leader isn't a manager per se anymore. The manager who would assign the work, make sure it's done, tick it off, check this, check that. A leader, especially across different large organizations, have to inspire. We have to be very agile. We have to be very transparent, but very resilient as well. Because right now, over the last 6-7 years, all banks, most organizations have gone through a ton of rapid change. And rapid change because technology is changing. So I feel because of those I'll add some more comments later. But I totally believe that there are similarities, and I think that's something that we can leverage on both sides, on the church side or on the temporal side.
Okay. All right. And I think, Suzette, you were going to say something.
I feel leadership, just to address what you said, Sharon, and I'm totally in agreement with you, but to address your question, Michelle, I feel leadership basically is getting people from where they are to where they have not been. Mm-hmm. So regardless whether you're in the church world or in the secular world, leadership is leadership. And it's the process of influencing the behavior of people towards achieving a specific goal. And it doesn't matter whether you're in the bank setting, the school setting, government setting, the church setting. That's basically what leadership is. There is a distinct difference between leadership and management. Leadership is not about a title. It's not about the size of your office. It's not even about having a formal authority. I believe leadership is the mindset.
Wow.
Yeah.
Once
Yeah.
you have that mindset, it's about your daily operation. You know what your daily task is, what your daily operation is, and you set your mindset to accomplish that goal.
Mm.
And you do it wholeheartedly. You do it with passion and with influence. Because if you're leading, according to John Maxwell, if you're leading and you turn around and nobody's following you,
Yes.
your
Mm.
victory just takes control.
That's
So
right.
leadership really is about having that mindset, sticking to the task, sticking to the goal, and influencing people.
Right. Excellent.
Right.
And it's interesting that some people feel that the leadership in the church may have a different or receive a different type of respect than the leadership in the corporate world or in the secular world. What do you think about that statement? Do you feel that the pastors or the auxiliary leaders or the Sunday school teacher get a different type of respect than the teacher in the school, in the universities, or the manager or the CEO in the corporate world? How do you view that point?
Based on my experience, I've come across so many different things. I've come across people who revere their leaders, worship them like they're little demigods. And I've come across people who totally disrespect their leaders.
Okay.
So, when you're in the people business, especially in the church is a hospital.
Mm.
So you get all types of people coming to the hospital to be cured.
Mm.
You have those who are mentally sick, those who are physically sick, spiritually sick, and so on and so forth. And our job is to minister to them.
Mm.
People come to the church from different walks of life, different upbringings, different backgrounds. And our job, once again, is to develop that Christ-like spirit within them. So basically, leadership, really, you're in the caring business. People don't know how much people don't care about how much you know. They care about how much you care.
That's
So when
true.
you can demonstrate that love and that care towards people, then I believe people will come on board and you will gradually see the change. If they think you don't care about them, they're not going to want to give out or to put more into what you're doing. They'll just stand on the sideline and watch you do your thing,
Right.
whether it's leading or whatever. But people want to know how much you care about them, and that's why it's even in Christendom, we must become servant leaders first to the body of Christ.
True.
You can't just jump in and start doing things and taking authority, and I am the pastor, I'm the one in charge. No, people need to know that you love them, that you care for them, and when they weep, you weep along with them. When they hurt, when they mourn,
Yep.
you mourn along with them.
Yep.
This is how you're able to influence them and pull them on board,
Right.
so they can carry out your vision.
Right. So, Lisa, in that same vein of thought in regards to the respect, you're on a board, which is
Right.
voluntary, right? And
Yes.
you've been there for a while. How do you perceive that for a volunteer position? Do you think that as a volunteer, do you get the same respect as you feel that those who get paid as a leader?
Yeah. So I would say I do get respect, but I mean there always is those individuals that are paid and are part of the sorry, what am I gonna the word I'm saying, I guess staff members.
Mm.
Yeah, I would say they would get a little bit more respect because maybe they're there many more days. They're there more from Monday to Friday, whereas even though we may be there as a volunteer Monday to Friday, it's not a consistent like I guess 37.5 or 40 hours.
Right.
So I guess how can I say this? So I'm not gonna say I do not get respect. I definitely do get it. But I would say for somebody that is a staff member, they may be looked at differently. Also, I think also as a staff member, somebody that does get paid, I think the congregation probably puts even more pressure on them because they do know that they are, a paid staff member.
Right.
So I guess the expectation for a paid staff member is a lot
Right.
versus somebody that is a volunteer. However, I would say as far as a board member, there is a little bit more, I guess it's viewed a little bit more, there's a little more weight on there. So the
Right.
congregation will see a board member a little bit different than a staff member. So
Okay.
I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it does. It gives some insight. Yeah. And so I want to throw this out to the Facebook live audience. What type of jobs do you have? So I would like them to just kind of throw out on the page there the different types of jobs that they have, because one of the things that I recognize is that sometimes we think if you're a teacher, or if you're a principal, or if you're a manager, that those are the only leadership type roles, but they're not, right? They're not only people who hold those type of titles. People who lead are people of influence. Right? People of influence. So that's why I want us to even talk about the importance of leadership, because every person is a leader to some degree. And one of the things that Pastor Gayle mentioned, which I think is so very important, that where the church is concerned, it's a hospital. So you can't just put on your leadership skill today and then throw it away tomorrow. Like, come on. You have to make sure that you are always in your role, because someone is depending on you. Can I get an amen? Okay. Yes, of course.
When it comes to leadership, people really follow you because of who you are and not because of what you represent.
Mm-hmm.
So be the best you that you can possibly be, and serve with humility and love.
Right.
And that's what people will gravitate to.
Right.
Yeah, I would definitely agree, Michelle and ladies. It's so true even in the corporate world. But you're right, Suzette. If they do not relate to their leader, or they don't feel that they have any type of connection, or they get that inspiration from them, or they aren't there for them overall to support them through prayer and fasting, and if they are in a bind and the church doesn't come together to support them, whether it's monetary or food, they will feel discouraged. And I feel like even let me close this as well, even in the corporate world, you will find that I will follow a certain leader, a certain SVP, because I know that he's a great leader. He's results oriented and he'll get things done.
Right.
But if you're not feeding them, if you're not understanding your people, whether it's the members in a church or your folks that report into you, or even first and second level leadership that reports into you, you will lose them. You'll lose that top talent in the church. You'll lose the anointed, real number one praise leader, or things like that. So it's I totally agree, Suzette. It's just really something you have to be very aware of. Now, you're not supposed to compromise, right?
Absolutely.
But we have to be in tune with them. In work, it's like being emotionally intelligent, but at church, try the spirit, right?
Right, exactly. So go ahead, Lisa.
No, I was just going to say, there's another thing, just listening to Suzette and Sharon, there's another thing too, like when you are a leader, you're a leader when you are in the church, when you're a leader at home, you're a leader when you shop, you're a leader when you go to the bank. So something about being a leader, you always, the congregation or those that are under you who you're leading, whether it be corporate or whether it be in the church, they're always going to see you as a leader. So all of those things and all of those characteristics that a leader should have, as a leader, you kind of have to wear that all the time and be aware that somebody is watching. The individuals that you're leading are always looking at you as a leader, no matter where you are. So it's just something that Suzette brought up that made me think about that. That you're a leader all the time, everywhere.
Exactly.
To everyone that is under you, always. So it's something as leaders that we have to be aware of.
Exactly. So we're going to go into our 6 powerful tips women must retain as leaders in the corporate and church world. And there's more than 6, but I just picked 6. I mean, there's at least 12, but I am going to focus on 6. So the first one, number 1, is humility during success. Now that one has climbed the corporate ladder, we need to remain humble. And how does this relationship change between you and those that were your peers? So as you transitioned, how do you find that you relate to your peers once you've, elevated to another level? And I'm going to start off with Lisa. Okay.
I mean, it shouldn't really change. Yes, you've moved up the ladder, and let's be honest, maybe some people may not be happy for you because they want to be there. But as far as how you respond to the individuals that you were underneath, like it shouldn't be the same. It shouldn't change because you don't want to invoke anger, or you don't want to invoke just a negative situation. So you want to take the position that you're in and not flaunt it over those that you were under and that you were over. You don't want to throw it in their face or just forget about them. But you just even when you do when you are with them, even thank them for you wouldn't have been here if it wasn't for you. Even me being your leader, you've helped me even move forward. So even kind of let them know that they helped you in your progress, as
Right.
opposed to just forgetting them completely and creating that kind of negative vibe.
Right.
Because I mean, it's not easy. You know what I mean? I mean, everybody wants to move up. Everybody wants that promotion. Everybody wants whether it's a leadership promotion or a financial promotion. Everybody wants that promotion. So I think as a good leader, you don't want to, as I said before, you don't want to rub it in someone's face, but you want to still maintain that relationship, and even as I said before, be appreciative of your staff that were under you, because they did help you get to where you got to go. So that's what I would say on the topic.
Right. Okay. Anybody else want to add to that?
I mean, I would say, for example, even if you become a leader over your peers, call it out. You have a discussion with them. Hey, you know what? I know we were peers, but I know that you have certain strengths that I could probably leverage. So I'm going to have a couple initiatives thrown your way for you to lead. You really have to call it out, because if it's an unsaid thing, people are going to be like, okay, he knows he was my peer, so why isn't he kind of treating me differently? And I'm telling you, that's exactly what they say in the corporate world.
Right.
So have a meeting with them. You have to have those discussions with your peers, call it out, and then talk about what you both can do to support, the business going forward. And I feel like even in church, like if you had a youth president who now is elevated to minister or what have you, and then the other person now was your peer at another church, or maybe they were assistant youth president, and now you're in this other role, you have to probably have that conversation, because ministers will touch all auxiliaries, right?
Right.
The youth department's there, but you still have to have a hand in certain things. So I feel like for the most part, that is something you can leverage. But Suzette, what's your opinion on that?
Well, since I'm speaking from the church arena, the church perspective, it's a learning experience. It really is, because when you're in this business that we're in, it's going to teach you, and it's going to cause you to grow up real quick, because people are people, and you got to learn how to deal with people regardless. But in any event, we only have a limited time here on earth, and no matter what the oppression, you must have the ability to transform your surrounding to what you desire it to be. Learn to reject all the negativity and focus your attention on what you want it to be. The first thing I would say is to be honest with yourself. Let people see you.
Wait. You're going too far now. You're going too far.
I would say
yeah.
Let them see who you are. I'll never forget, Bishop Jakes taught us in one of his leadership sessions. I usually attend his annual leadership pastors and leadership conference. And some years ago, he taught us that when you're starting out in leadership, you have to first learn to walk with the people. You lead with the people.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to get down and do the dirty with them, whatever it requires to get down dirty and work with them. You're never better than a half is not better than the whole.
That's
You got to
right.
learn how to synergize and work together. Let them see your hands getting in the dirt. Let them see
Yeah.
your work. And so what I'm trying to say, you got to be honest with them.
Yeah.
You're only human, not because you're a leader or you're a pastor or you high on the corporate ladder in whatever arena that you're in. You're also human, and we're
Yeah.
not perfect. We're imperfect beings, and we do make mistakes sometimes. So you got to let them see
Right.
your mistakes. Let them see you're honest. Be honest with them. Let
Right.
me get back to what Bishop Jake said. Bishop Jake said, when you start out, you got to lead with them. Then
Right.
after you've led with them through growth, through the process of time, then you lead in front of them.
Yeah.
Right.
And after you have done that, then there is going to come a time when you need to take your organization to a whole nother level. Then you got to lead above them. So
Right.
you start out with them, then you transition in front of them, and then you lead above them. But
Okay.
you have to allow them to see your nakedness at first, to let them know that you're no different from them. You do have failures. You learn from your mistakes. I did make a mistake and I apologize, and I'm trying to see how we can fix it, because at the end of the day, it's about the advancement of the organization and
Right.
in the church, the advancement of the people. Because when you build people and develop people, then you have a great organization, a great ministry.
Right.
And
So that's good. That's very good. So again, we've got five more to go, and you're covering some of it already in your statement. So, so the next one is we need to step back so others can step up. Have you ever heard that statement? We need to step back so others can step up. How do you perceive that? Let's go with Sharon this time to start off. How do you see that in the corporate world?
Well, in the corporate world, that to me is delegating work.
Mm,
So a lot of time, like there'll be multiple initiatives and projects on the go, and even me as a leader, I don't know it all. I have to
mm,
engage my second level support team, the first level management team under me, the second level management team under me to find the best solution.
mm-hmm.
Look at option A, B, C, D, and E, so that just in case option A doesn't work, we have a B and C, and the pros
Right.
and cons of each of the options. So I feel that's a way of stepping back and letting others kind of get in there and get into the grind. It's important as well for them to feel involved, because
Yeah.
if you just are doing everything and you're not including them even in the decision making process,
Mm,
then they're going to feel excluded, they're isolated, and she doesn't even really care about what we do.
yeah.
So I would say that is what I would define as stepping back.
Yeah.
That's true.
Exactly. And the thing about it too is that sometimes when you step back and let somebody step up, you're allowing them to find their authentic self within a leadership position. They are individuals in training. So when you give them that opportunity or that platform, allow them to explore it a little different than you do.
Right.
Just because you do it this way doesn't mean it always has to be that way. Just allow
Right.
them that opportunity. So step back so others can step up. That's number 2. Number 3, lead change. Have things to do, and sometimes we lead and we make the list of things that we need to do, but we're not making the change with them. So we're delegating and saying, oh, just do this, and we're not a part of the change. So Lisa, how do you perceive this? Some people have complained that leaders sometimes lead change by words but not by action, and especially in a volunteer position. How do you
Right.
perceive that?
Definitely. So one thing, just to piggyback again of a little bit of what Sharon said, when you delegate the work
Mm-hmm.
and somebody is you delegate the work and somebody's doing it, as you said as well, they may not do it the same way, but like instead of saying, you know what, you didn't follow this SOP or this protocol to get it done, maybe look at what they did and and see like the method that they use, maybe try and incorporate some of that, and maybe if you have to rewrite it,
Mm,
you know, rewrite it. Take
mm,
in what they did, like whatever advice or whatever tips they provided, whatever new ways to accept that information. And then another thing as well that's quite important is to give that person credit as well.
yeah.
Because when sometimes when you do the work, somebody does the work for you, And when you have to report to your boss, you may come in the impression that, oh, I look what I
Yeah.
did, or look what I did. But it's good to say that, look what Mr. Brown did. He did this, and he really helped. And you know what? This SOP that we have, we could tweak it a little bit, and give that person credit. So
Mm.
I think that's a part of leading the change too. Reporting to your boss, letting them know that one of your staff members, first of all, they did a great job and that they completed the task, and then provide that whatever change it is, to not only say that that you did it, but let them know that particular person did it. So they can be promoted and they can be looked at in the eyes of our senior management. They
Mm-hmm.
could be looked at as, wow, they really did something good. They made a change here that was beneficial to the organization, and so they can kind of have a little star on that person, keep their eye on them. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what I would do. I don't know if any of my other teammates have anything to add or to say on that.
Well, to be frank with you, you are absolutely right, both of you. And Michelle, I mean, Sharon, you hit the nail on the head. You gotta, to become an effective leader, you gotta learn how to delegate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can't micromanage what you do. You burn yourself out. You stress yourself and
Exactly.
you end up
Yeah.
with health problems.
Yeah.
You got to learn how to delegate. You know how many leaders are in your organization, whether it's your church or your business. There's so many leaders there who does not bear the title of a leader.
That's right.
Whether leaders are born or leaders are made, that's neither here or there with me. But there's so many people. Look around you and you'll see who has the influence in your organization. So you got to learn how to step back and spend time with yourself. Monitor yourself and get into the presence of God.
Mm.
That's what I do. I know when to delegate. That's your assignment. I need time to vacate with my family. I need time to spend with my kids. I need time to pamper myself. And I need time to stretch out before God, because if I don't give God that time,
Mm.
He cannot download into me because I'm too busy doing everything else. So you need to spend that time in His presence so He can download into you and give you what you need to serve the people. So we got to learn how to delegate. It's vitally important.
Yes.
Delegation, it makes people feel good that they're a part of. And Lisa, you said it, we also have to learn how to celebrate people.
Right.
Yeah.
Celebrate them.
Celebrate
they
them.
Feel good about themselves and they want to do more. And they do it with a passion. And remember, it's all about the organization, developing the organization.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, great. And so number 4 is a hard one. Number 4 is admitting mistakes. Admitting your mistakes as a leader. Now, that's a hard one. So I'm going to ask Facebook audience, how many feel that leadership of any sort has a difficult time admitting their mistakes? Okay, so I'm asking Facebook audience who are watching, how many of you feel that leaders have a hard time admitting their mistakes? Now, after we wait a few seconds and we hear people chime in, I want you to also answer this second part of the question. How many of you are comfortable at admitting your own mistakes? That's the other part of the question. So this is a part of self-awareness. It is being honest to oneself and to learn to take criticism. Learn to take criticism. So emotionally, we women take things to heart. So how can we control our emotions when we are being criticized or corrected? How do you think that we can control our emotions? So I'm going to open it up and see who's going to jump on it first.
Well, what I will say, Sharon, you have to own any errors or mistakes that happen, or any missteps that you take. There's higher expectations on women. Well, I guess that's what the perception is, because we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. One reason why we do is because, I guess, historically, we've been perfectionists, taking care of the house. Men, they make a mistake, it rolls off their back and they're on to the next thing. That's just their personality. Things are black and white for them, and they move on. I think, in a way, women as leaders being emotionally tied to certain things is a good attribute to have in certain cases. But if there's a issue, or you took the wrong step here, you really have to own it, acknowledge it, and talk about, okay, what are we going to do next? Learn from it. Right. You're not going to move forward if you're not learning from these missteps or errors that happen. So I feel, and this is something that I know this organization that I work for always preaches, is that you always own it. Now in church, it's probably different, because they're expecting you to pray, fast, hear from God, and you better have the right decision coming up. Or people are thinking, or they're like, oh, if I don't hear from God, I'm not going that route. If I don't hear it too, why is that the you know what I mean? Yeah. But you, as a leader, do have to pray and fast. But I think if you corporately have that, for example, first 2 weeks of January or the new year, fasting, God will reveal things to the bishop or to the senior bishop or whoever's on the auxiliaries to make the right decision, or what we need, or make the decision around where to move the church. Right. We do have a Facebook comment or question, so we're going to go to Facebook right now.
Eliver says, leaders who are not reflective will have difficulty acknowledging their mistakes. Often leaders feel they must know everything. An effective leader will learn from their team. And Sonia says, we need to celebrate each other.
Okay, great. So you heard the comment that Eliver made mention. Who would like to respond to that statement? Because I think that is a very important statement there.
I'll respond on that. No, I think that's a very, very important comment. As a leader, you have to be reflective all the time. You have to do that internal, when you make a decision, you have to look at it and say, okay, what was this good or was it bad? And sometimes what happens with leaders is that, they may make a decision and they may think that it's good, and it ends up being something terrible. And what happens is, or the key thing here is that the leader either, they can either swipe it under the table and be like, okay, that was a mistake, whatever, I'm moving on. And, it wasn't my fault anyways, or they can take ownership. And sometimes you see that, unfortunately, sometimes maybe in the church, or even corporately, but I can say from even in the church, sometimes when the leader, and it could be anybody, it could be the pastor, it could be the missionary, it could be the evangelist. I'm not pinpointing anybody here, but sometimes when the leader makes a decision that is, and they don't acknowledge that it had a negative impact, right? It could, make people quite upset, and then there's distrust in the leadership, right? In that leadership. So I would say, to tie in what Sharon said and also what Oliver said, it's very important to do that honest, and I have to say it again, honest reflection, and really, really take the time to assess, the impact, good or bad, and if it was bad, make the change. So that, I actually like that point. That was a good point about being reflective in everything that we do.
And again, thank you, Sonia, for saying that, reminding us we do have to celebrate each person. Yes. And we have another Facebook comment, but before we go there, I just want to interject something. When is it about us feeling sensitive as women? They always say that we feel sensitive about things versus when we're being attacked. So sometimes they're saying, oh, you're just being too sensitive. But in fact, we are being attacked as leaders. So I just want to put that in your ear, but we're going to go to Facebook for a comment.
Just a quick one. Michael Challenger says, there is power in honesty, and mistakes are all about growth.
Excellent. So there's power in honesty. That is a powerful statement right there, because once you are honest, that gives growth, that gives an opening for learning and for development. So that is so powerful. Thank you, Michael, for that. Number 5, because I noticed our time goes by so quickly. Oh my gosh. Now, number 5, building the team. Engage, educate, empower, and grow. What examples do you have that you've used to engage, empower, and to grow your team as a corporate leader, as a pastor, as a board member? You know, how do you find, or what do you use to help grow your team? Should I pick somebody? We'll start with Pastor Gayle.
I, I think it's really knowing your organization and understanding the why.
Mm,
Why are we here? Why all the changes? Why the transition? Why are we incorporating certain things? Why are we going this direction instead of that direction? When you understand the why, then it puts you in a position to know what path you're on, so you can build according to that, and you will know who to bring on, who to put in their rightful place. You have to know the people around you as well, know people's strengths and people's weaknesses. And I
right.
think one of
Yep.
the greatest assets that we have in this modern time is the asset of young people. We need to invest in young people, especially those young people who are coming out of college. And we just need to utilize them, because
Yeah.
the things that we knew and how we practiced things, and we did it the best way we knew how because it worked for us.
Yeah.
Things have changed. Society is on a move.
Yeah.
Technology has
It's so
advanced.
different now.
So
Yeah.
if you really want to build your organization, you got to invest in young people. But I strongly believe you've got to understand the why you're out there, and you develop the people around you for them to become loyal to your vision.
Okay.
To move the organization forward.
Good, good. So we've got like just 4 more minutes. So I want to make sure we get number 6 in. So number 6 is asking for feedback. That is very important. Asking for feedback. What do you do once you receive the feedback? So Sharon, what do you do once you receive the feedback? How do you, you know?
Hey, let's just be real. Getting feedback isn't a great experience. Everyone's always got their stomach turning
Yeah.
just before their performance review. Doesn't matter what level you're at.
It's so
You're
true.
anticipating what the negative would be
Yeah.
versus what positives were.
Right.
But I think you do have to get that feedback, because everybody's perception of you is usually different most times than what you perceive about yourself. And it's not that they're right, but you have to see, is there anywhere that I could improve on? From the outside looking in, it helps to see that, so you can make whatever changes or get additional training. But yeah, asking for feedback, like, you don't even want to ask. Let's just be
Yeah.
real. But you have to.
Yeah.
It's 360 review, or it's gonna come anyways, because you always have touch points with your leader, or monthly or biannually. So yeah, it's not an easy thing, and I can admit it, but it's something we have to do as an organization,
Yeah.
as people, to
Right.
and to grow.
Definitely.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Exactly. Lisa, one last tip from you.
Yeah, I totally agree with Sharon. Feedback is very important because as she said, and I totally agree. You may not see yourself. You may think you're a certain way, but everybody else sees you some other way. Particularly even your senior management, they may see you differently. So it's good to have that feedback and that discussion so that you know how to improve. And I would say feedback goes 2 ways. So I even think your staff should even provide feedback to you as
Yeah.
well.
Exactly.
And
It's
then
important.
and as a leader, of course, you're going to provide feedback on your staff. But I think your staff should even provide feedback as well as your senior management. So both ways, very important for your development as a leader.
Excellent. Okay, well, leadership is a role that each of us are in on a daily basis. Someone is watching our decision making, they're listening to our instructions, they're comparing our teachings and learning from our good and our bad habits. We must understand that when we respect our leaders, we are showing others to respect us. In retrospect, we are all leaders. We are all leaders. We must demonstrate that at all times before we become a leader by title. So you should act like one. We have one more last comment from Facebook Live.
Feedback should stimulate growth. Eliver says, it is something too hard to hear. it is sometimes too hard to hear.
Okay, excellent. So feedback is hard to hear. Honestly, it's hard to digest. It's like a really hard dumpling that is so tight that when you're chewing it and you can't digest it, that's what that feedback sometimes feels like. But as we end our show, I want to thank our guest. I thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. I want to thank Facebook Live audience that joined us today and participated. The quote I want to leave with you by my good old friend Michelle Obama. She said, "The only limit to the height of your achievement is to the reach of your dreams and your willingness to work hard for them." So thank you again for watching. Have a good night. Ladies, don't forget, you have power to birth everything and anything because you are more powerful than you ever can imagine. See you next week, Tuesday. Have a good night. Thank you.
God bless you.
God bless you, guys.